Welcome to Dharma Bums, everyone. We'll meditate for a few minutes while some people still arrive. Welcome, everyone. Anyone new to Dharma Bums? First time? Oh, very good. Anyone new to meditation practice? That's good, and I don't have to do anything. Any interesting, curious questions about your meditation practice? Or about Zen? Anything at all? Must have some question. Or comment. Yeah.
I'm wondering what the three dugas, greed, anger, ignorance. I was wondering if you knew the original translations. Maybe if they.
Oh, come! I can almost hear you, but not quite. These things are terrible.
I know. I was wondering if you knew the original translations for anger, greed, and ignorance that I used the three dugas.
Anger, greed, ignorance. That's enough. No, I'm just kidding. The original, I don't remember offhand.
I'm wondering.
In Pali, you could look. It'd be a Pali dukkha, and the other two I don't remember.
Okay. I'm wondering if greed means more. We think of greed as the desire for material wealth, usually.
Oh, I see.
I'm wondering if greed maybe originally covered all types of desire.
Yeah, sometimes it's translated avarice, but we don't use that word very much, at least in the US anymore. Yeah, so it means a much more core concept around greed. It's even, you can even interpret these three things as how they bind and create our sense of identity. So we're very greedy about having this idea of self, for example. No, I really think I'm separate from other things. I know I'm right. Oh, that's a kind of greed. I know. Yeah.
So there's three different schools of Buddhism. Is meditation the same, or is that true? There's
Three major schools. Yeah, there's the classical view. It's Hinayana, Mahayana, and Vajrayana. Or Hinayana is usually viewed today as the Theravada school and Mahayana school.
So is meditation the same in different, or is it done differently?
Buddhism is like really big. I think of any religion that within Buddhism there's more bandwidth and variety than in any other religion. In any other religion, the differences would be viewed as heretical or just dismissed as not part of that religion. But Buddhism has a really big view. And at the same time, the commonality is very strong in essence as well. So while there are different approaches in these three, you could say there are different modes for different kinds of people, even. Yet you could also say that while there are different approaches, say from Theravada and say Zen practice or Vajrayana, it's a little different, perhaps. The basis and result of practice is very similar because we're all human beings, basically. So but the emphasis can be a bit different. It's true. Of course, in Vajrayana Buddhism, there's the methods involving mantras and visualizations and things like that, like you can see in these tankas here on the wall, like the medicine Buddha here. So in Vajrayana Buddhism, you would visualize the medicine Buddha and recite the mantra using a mala. But the actual meditation part of that practice, which is there's an object and there's the person and the relationship, is not dissimilar to what you find in either Theravada or Zen. But the support or the process of using an object and mantras is different. I don't know if I'm being clear enough, but maybe ask another question.
So if your mind starts wandering and you can't stay silent, is that bad?
In Vajrayana? Like in Vajrayana, of course. So I'm focusing on the medicine Buddha, for example. I'm doing recitation, all of a sudden I start thinking about a list of things I need to do tomorrow or something, and then you come back to the practice again. So your supportive practice is the mantra and visualization. In Vipassana or in Theravada, you might come back to your breath. In Zen, again, also body breathing is important, and maybe also a koan practice might be in place. Something like that. But the core of it, is in Sanskrit, the shamatha vipassana, the two sides of meditation. The core of it's the same. The kind of little pieces, parts of it are different. They're more secondary. The point is the same too. The point is that we're using these practices as a way to reflect our awareness. Our present time awareness is brought into this moment, in this practice. We have this gradually expansive, spacious mind or Buddha nature, or whatever you want to call it, gradually becomes more clear. Yeah, so all the practices are great, in the different schools of Buddhism. The main thing is to connect with one that one has the most affinity for, and best to have a good teacher to support and guide one in that process when one's engaged in that. Especially in Vajrayana, you really have to have a personal teacher. It's not possible to successfully replicate Vajrayana practice off of the internet. You get lost easily. It's true of all schools, really. You need a good group practice is helpful, and then some kind of feedback from someone is essential. Anything, other comments or more on that subject area? Good books to read, and Zen tradition, of course, we usually mention a couple of things. So Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, probably it's people who have read, perhaps. Suzuki Roshi, transcriptions of his talks at San Francisco Zen Center in the late 60s and early 70s. Very relevant always, really good. And and one can read short 1, 2, 3 pages sections just once a day, and just have that as something to carry through one's day and practice. It's quite good. In Zen, yeah.
I have a question. The concept of taking refuge in the Buddha
Yeah,
and taking refuge in Sangha,
yeah,
taking refuge in the Dharma.
yeah,
Could you do? I was reading the Kevin Griffin book and the Teresa Jacobs, I think is her book on recovery, meditation. But taking refuge in the Buddha, acknowledging awokeness, awaking, and then is taking refuge in the Dharma like practices and strategies, like things you do, like okay, go like volunteer there, or do things that serve.
yeah. I mean, it has that implication, but it's taking refuge in the Dharma or the teachings of the.
I guess, can you distinguish between what the difference between taking refuge in the Buddha and taking refuge in the Dharma?
The Dharma are the teachings of the Buddha, the outline of the path. So we take refuge in the Buddha. The Buddha can be viewed as an historical person, but then the Buddha is also viewed as the Buddha nature in oneself, not something separate. So we're opening the door. Taking refuge means we're opening the door to access that process in place in us that reflects that Buddha nature. We take refuge in that. We take refuge in the Dharma. It's opening to understanding the Dharma and how it affects our life and how we can live it more fully. And then refuge in the Sangha. Sangha is the collective group of practitioners, but the refuge, some interpretations might have it as the refuge is in the collective quality that's generated by that practice together.
Thank you. These books that I've been reading I'm realizing now they are recovery using mindfulness and Buddhism and 12-step program. And so they're fascinating, and thank you for kind of clarifying what is Buddhism and what is a part of the recovery Sangha here.
Yeah, I mean, it overlaps. One
Yeah.
can apply the process. Everybody's in recovery. We're
Yes.
hopefully. So we're, from the Buddhist point of view, we're all have the 3 core entanglements. So the Buddhist path is about unwinding and opening and freeing that core, this deep core that binds our sense of identity and creates this sense of separateness.
What were the 3 different ones?
Yeah.
Anger, greed, and ignorance.
Anger, greed, and anger, greed, and ignorance. Anger, greed, ignorance. Pretty basic. I'll just read a little bit. There's a really nice short text. It's called the Shin Shin Ming by the in Zen or Chan Buddhism, the third great teacher in that tradition. Wrote this, well, didn't write it, it was written down later, but preserved from that Songzang. And it relates to what we're talking about. So I'll just read a little bit. And it's really short tonight, and there are many translations available free online. This one was done by Nelson Foster. Looks like. Thanks, anyway, relying on mind or trust in the heart mind. It's another way of translating it. So the supreme way is not difficult. It just precludes picking and choosing. Without craving or aversion, the way is perfectly apparent. Well, even a hairbreadth difference separates heaven and earth. To see the way with your own eyes, stop agreeing and disagreeing. The battling of likes and dislikes, that's the disease of the mind. Misunderstanding the great mystery, people labor in vain for peace. Mind has the totality of space, nothing lacking, nothing extra. It's just selecting and rejecting that make it seem otherwise. We could call the essential. On that viewpoint, these issues are transformed or resolved in a sense like that. At the same time, they easily reappear again. So the whole point is to gradually take our meditation practice more and more into our daily life practice, where we can skillfully apply solutions to these things when they come up. When the car pulls in front of you on the freeway, and one wants to scream, then one can just get out of the way of the car and then just experience it as cars on the freeway. Eyes open, eyes closed when meditation. Mostly everyone meditates eyes closed, I think. What's this group? Eyes open, anyone? Actually, mostly, one can experiment, but mostly in Buddhist meditation, eyes are open. A little bit. It's good to experiment because it makes a difference, and I think it's you'll find mostly few exceptions, but it's usually better because usually if eyes closed, one gets sleepy or easier. Eyes closed, one gets more thinking going on. If eyes just open a tiny bit, like looking down, 45-degree angle, and you're still blinking and things, you're not just staring. Because we're not in Zen tradition, most Buddhist practice, we're not trying to cut off the sensorial input. Everything is arising and falling together. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, yeah, and also sounds, sights, sensations. These are all happening. So we're surfing the present moment in our practice, trying to, something arises and our awareness and the object in the process of perception arise together. and then the next moment, and the next moment, next moment. So in sitting in meditations and meditation with Zazen, we're like surfing this present moment. We're going to meditate for a little bit. Any questions about surfing the present moment? some medicine, impermanent nature of existence and the illusion of a fixed self. Any other questions or comments? Other good books to read are recent book by Meidō Roshi, The Way of Night Zen, and also Hidden Zen is really good for Zen practice.